Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, one of the most challenging Psalms in the entire Bible, Psalm 35. In this devotional explainer, we're going to tackle some pretty tough questions about justice, anger, and what we're supposed to do when we feel like we've been deeply, deeply wronged. So let's just get right to the heart of it with this question. Have you ever been reading your Bible, maybe flipping through the Psalms, and you land on a verse that just makes you uncomfortable, maybe even a little shocked? If you have, you are definitely not alone. This is the big, tough question we're digging into today. Because, let's be real for a second. Some of the prayers in the Bible sound angry. They can feel raw and vengeful, and it's so easy to sit there and wonder, wait a minute, how does this fit with Jesus telling us to love our enemies? So how in the world are we supposed to understand these passages? Well, the good news is we don't just have to guess or feel weird about it. There's actually a name for these kinds of prayers, a theological category that gives us a lens to see what's really going on. They're called imprecatory psalms. It's a big word, but the idea behind it is going to change how you read these scriptures. Now look closely at this definition. An imprecatory psalm isn't just someone having a temper tantrum and yelling at God. No, it's a formal appeal. It's a cry for God himself to bring about justice and to deal with those who are not just personal enemies, but enemies of God and his people. And that distinction, well, it's everything. So here's where it all clicks into place. This isn't about getting even. It's a cry for divine justice, not personal revenge. It's an appeal for God to vindicate his own holy name. At its core, it's this incredible expression of radical trust, basically saying, God, I can't fix this, and I'm not going to try. It's in your hands. It's all rooted in this deep, passionate desire for righteousness to win in the end. And there is no better example of this than Psalm 35. This is a classic imprecatory psalm from King David himself. And when we look inside, we get this amazing window into the heart behind these kinds of prayers. So let's see how he builds his case before God. David just kicks it off with this powerful plea in verses 1 and 2. He says, "Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler and stand up for mine help." Do you hear the language he's using? He's asking God to be his divine lawyer, his advocate in court, and his divine warrior, his champion on the battlefield. He's not asking for a hired gun. He's calling for the ultimate champion to step in. And this is just so key to understanding what's going on. David was up against enemies who were attacking him for no reason, making up lies about him. He was completely powerless. So instead of plotting revenge, he takes his case to the Supreme Court of the universe and asks the one and only ultimate judge to please intervene. So what was it that was fueling this incredibly raw and emotional prayer? Well, it wasn't just some random disagreement or political squabble. At the very heart of Psalm 35 is this deep, searing pain of betrayal. Listen to what David writes in verse 12. He says, "They rewarded me evil for good, to the spoiling of my soul." Can you feel the ache in those words? He's saying, I showed them kindness. I prayed for them when they were sick. I treated them like family. And in return, they stabbed him in the back. That's the deep, personal wound he's bringing honestly before God. And this, right here, this really just lays it all out. There is a massive night and day difference between what David was doing and what we're so often tempted to do. See, personal revenge is all about my satisfaction. It's about me taking matters into my own hands. But divine justice, that seeks God's glory. It entrusts the whole mess into his hands. It's the difference between us saying, I'll get them back, and remembering the truth that vengeance is the Lord's. Okay, so what about us? How does this ancient poem help us when we're the ones dealing with betrayal, with injustice, with that feeling of being wronged? Can we actually pray like David today? Absolutely, as long as we get the principles right. Here are 4 really practical steps we can learn from Psalm 35. First, just be honest, like brutally honest. Pour out all of it, the pain, the anger, the confusion. Tell God exactly how you feel. 2, you have to surrender vengeance. Consciously make a choice to release your right to get even and hand it over to God. 3, you can ask for justice. Pray for his righteous justice to win, for his will to be done. And finally, number 4, you just have to trust his character. Rest in the truth that he is a perfect judge who sees everything and who is both just and merciful. We just want to mention that this devotional explainer on Psalm 35 is brought to you by the You Need Faith in Jesus team. And so, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this to really think about. Who is it? Who in your life, what situation, do you need to entrust completely to God's perfect justice? Who do you need to stop carrying that burden of bitterness for and instead just release them? Release them fully into the safe and righteous hands of God.